Most men don't realize this, but the fastest way to kill attraction is to ask for intimacy. The moment you lean in, hoping, waiting, begging in subtle ways for her touch, her attention, her body, you've already lost the game. Women can smell neediness the way wolves smell blood, and nothing destroys desire faster than a man who treats intimacy as something to be given to him, instead of something she craves from him. Let me hit you with the hard truth. Intimacy isn't something you pursue, it's something you draw out of her. The men who get women chasing, investing, begging for their attention aren't the ones who ask for permission. They're the ones who move through life so grounded, so focused, so magnetic, that women feel a fire inside them and want to give everything. So if you're tired of being the man who waits, the man who hopes, the man who secretly wonders, when will she let me have it? Then stick around, because I'm about to show you how to flip the script and make her the one asking you for intimacy. Here's the thing no one tells you. Men think women fall for effort. Flowers, dinners, compliments, confessions. And sure, it gets you noticed, but it doesn't make you unforgettable. Because what makes a woman truly crave you isn't what you give, but what you withhold. It's not your constant presence, it's your absence. It's not your flattery, it's your restraint. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Apply that to intimacy, and you'll see the truth. You don't ask for it. You build a reality where she feels compelled to offer it." This video isn't about tricks. It's about rewiring your frame as a man so you never again wonder how to get intimacy. Instead, you learn how to become the kind of man women offer intimacy to without you saying a word. By the end of this, you'll understand 10 timeless principles that make her not only want you, but fight for the chance to be close to you. And once you live by them, you'll never chase again. She will. 1. The power of restraint. Why withholding is more attractive than asking. Here's the paradox. The more you withhold, the more she wants. Men are conditioned by society to believe that chasing, pleasing, and constantly giving is the way to a woman's heart. But in reality, that energy suffocates attraction. Desire is born in space. When you don't immediately take what's offered, when you don't push for the kiss, the touch, the approval, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. She feels compelled to fill it with her pursuit. This is why restraint is the secret weapon most men never use. By not asking, by not pressing, you show mastery over yourself. And self-mastery is magnetic. Think about it like this. Tom, a 48-year-old executive, told me once how he used to kill his chances by rushing in. The moment he felt attraction, he'd lean forward, give too many compliments, try to hold hands too quickly. Women pulled away, not because they didn't like him, but because he collapsed the mystery. But when Tom learned to hold back, to slow down, to let her feel the tension, everything changed. Suddenly, women leaned into him. They initiated the texts. They crossed the table first. His restraint created hunger. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Men imagine that if they don't act fast, they'll lose the opportunity. But in truth, restraint multiplies opportunities, because the woman doesn't feel chased. She feels drawn. And that's a feeling she can't resist. The shift is simple. Stop rushing. Stop asking. Stop breaking the tension. Let her feel the spark and let it burn longer than she expects. That's when she starts thinking, why isn't he making a move? What's different about him? That curiosity is where obsession begins. You don't have to demand intimacy. She'll start offering it, just to prove to herself that she still has your attention. 2. The silent confidence. Why saying less makes her say more. Most men ruin their chances not with what they fail to say, but with what they can't stop saying. Nervous chatter, over-explaining, desperate compliments. These are all the marks of a man seeking validation instead of commanding presence. Silence, on the other hand, is devastatingly powerful. It forces her to lean in, to wonder, to reveal herself. A man who doesn't need to fill every space with words communicates something primal. I am secure. I don't need to sell myself. And that calm authority makes her want to earn his attention, not the other way around. Picture this. James, 52, sat across from a younger woman at a rooftop bar. She was gorgeous, used to men tripping over themselves for her. But James didn't rush. He let silences breathe. When she asked him questions, he answered simply without trying to impress. At one point, she laughed and said, "You're hard to read." That's when James knew. Her curiosity was already hooked. Within minutes, she was revealing more about herself than she had in months of dates, because his quiet confidence pulled it out of her. He didn't ask for intimacy. He created the space where she craved giving it. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The more we value things outside our control, the less control we have." Silence is control. You can't force what she'll say, but you can command the frame. And when you do, she reveals herself. The mindset shift is this. You don't need to audition. Stop performing. Stop trying to fill the void. Your presence is enough. The less you say, the more powerful your words become. And the more powerful your silence becomes, the more she'll chase to break it. That's how intimacy flips. It comes from her wanting to close the gap you deliberately leave open. 3. The masculine mystery. Why not explaining yourself? Triggers her obsession. Here's the brutal truth. The more you explain yourself, the less she respects you. Weak men think if they just lay out their reasons, their emotions, their insecurities, she'll finally get them. But women aren't attracted to explanations. They're drawn to mystery, to the man who moves without needing to justify every step. When you stop over-explaining, you create tension. Tension creates desire. Desire creates intimacy. It's that simple. Think of Daniel, 47. He met a younger woman at an art gallery, and after their first date, she asked why he hadn't called right away. Any other man would have panicked, spilling excuses about work or wanting to give her space. Daniel didn't. He simply said, "I had things to do." And he left it at that. No apology, no extra words. She stared at him, half annoyed, half intrigued, and then she leaned in. Later, she admitted she couldn't stop thinking about him because, unlike other men, he didn't need her approval. That's the paradox. When you refuse to explain, she explains herself to you. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." Men who explain are suffering in imagination, imagining judgment, rejection, abandonment. They rush to fill the silence with reasons, to defend against battles that don't even exist. But the Stoic man, he accepts that misunderstanding is inevitable, and he doesn't waste energy trying to fix it. He stands tall, lets her wrestle with her curiosity, and becomes unforgettable because of it. Here's the shift you need. Never defend your frame. Never justify your timing, your words, your actions. Let her wonder. Let her chase clarity. Because the moment you stop explaining, you turn from predictable to magnetic. And the more she craves answers, the more she invests in you, without you lifting a finger. 4. Controlled touch. The subtle contact that makes her crave more. Here's the mistake weak men make. They either avoid touch altogether, afraid of coming off as creepy, or they rush in, smothering her with too much too soon. Both kill attraction. A woman's body responds not to desperate groping, but to controlled, intentional touch. The kind that feels like you could take more, but you don't. That restraint, that's what drives her crazy, because it signals control. It tells her you're not a boy begging for scraps. You're a man who chooses when and how to lead. Think of Michael, 52. He was on a date with a 29-year-old lawyer. Instead of clinging or constantly reaching for her hand, he only touched her once, placing his palm lightly on the small of her back as he guided her through a crowded restaurant. That single gesture, brief and firm, told her everything. He was grounded, confident, protective without being needy. She later confessed it was the most memorable part of the night. Why? Because he didn't bombard her. He gave her just enough to spark imagination, and left her wanting more. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Translate that into attraction. The best advantage is to be unlike the men she's used to. While others are clumsy, overeager, or timid, you stand apart by making every touch count. It's not about quantity. It's about precision, presence, and timing. Here's the shift. Stop chasing with your hands. Instead, let your touch be rare, deliberate, and infused with calm authority. Guide her through a door, let your fingers graze hers for half a second longer than necessary, place your hand on her knee while saying something powerful, and then pull away first. That's how you plant the seed of obsession. That's how you make her wonder when the next touch will come, and hope it never ends. 5. The power of walking away. First, most men destroy attraction because they linger too long. They hang on every second, as if leaving her presence means the end of their chances. But the man who knows how to walk away first flips the script entirely. By leaving at the peak of her interest, not after it's cooled, you burn an image into her mind. You create the ache of absence. You deny her the closure of boredom, and instead, you leave her restless, wondering when she'll see you again. That's how you turn a casual interaction into an obsession. Take Robert, 46. He met a younger woman at a friend's gathering, and they were laughing, connecting, everything flowing perfectly. Most men in his shoes would have stayed until the night fizzled out. But Robert stood, smiled, touched her arm lightly, and said, "I have an early morning, but this was fun. Let's continue another time." Then he left, while she was still leaning in, still engaged. Guess who texted him first the next day? Not because he begged for attention, but because he left her craving the continuation. He exited like a man in control of his time, not a boy desperate for hers. Seneca reminds us, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. When you linger too long, you waste not only your time but hers, and you waste the potency of attraction. By leaving at your own chosen moment, you demonstrate discipline. You send the unspoken message, I have a life, I have purpose, and you are a welcome part of it, not the center of it. The takeaway is simple but brutal. Stop waiting until she's ready to say goodbye. Cut the interaction at its height. Walk away first, with a calm smile and certainty. Because the man who departs at the peak of intensity doesn't lose her. He stays burned into her thoughts, forcing her to chase the next encounter. 6. The unshakable frame, never needing. Always choosing. A man's greatest weakness with women isn't rejection, it's neediness. Need is the invisible stench that repels them. You may think you're hiding it, but women sense it instantly, like an animal sensing fear. The opposite of neediness is frame, the quiet, immovable center that says, I don't need you, I choose you. When you hold that frame, intimacy becomes something she earns from you, not something you beg from her. That's when her attraction transforms into obsession. Consider James, 52. He dated a younger woman who constantly tested him with little provocations, late replies, subtle digs, attempts to make him jealous. Most men would crack, chasing harder, trying to prove their worth. But James never flinched. He stayed grounded, unfazed, calmly steering the interaction without overreacting. Over time, she stopped testing and started investing. Why? Because his frame was stronger than her storms. She realized he wasn't desperate for her validation. And paradoxically, that made her crave his approval more than anything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. A woman's moods, her tests, her approval, these are outside events. Your frame, your calm, your unshakable discipline, that is yours alone. And when she sees that nothing she does can shake it, she recognizes she's dealing with a man, not a boy. Here's the brutal truth. Women chase men who don't need them. So let her feel your presence, but never your desperation. Let her sense your desire, but never your dependence. Because when you live in the frame of a man who chooses rather than begs, she will fight for the privilege of being chosen by you. 7. The dangerous edge, creating excitement she can't forget. Every woman, no matter how sweet or innocent she may seem, craves danger, not the kind that puts her life at risk, but the kind that jolts her out of boredom. Safe men bore women to death. Predictable men suffocate attraction. But a man who carries a dangerous edge, controlled unpredictability, a sense that he cannot be fully tamed, lights a fire in her that safety never will. That's the difference between being a nice guy she forgets tomorrow and the man she can't stop thinking about 10 years later. Take Robert, 49. He worked a steady corporate job, lived a comfortable life, but women always drifted away until he embraced his edge. He started boxing, traveling solo, riding motorcycles. He didn't flaunt it, he embodied it. On dates, women felt his energy shift. He wasn't reckless, but he was untamed. And suddenly, women leaned in closer, their eyes wide, their bodies alive with anticipation. They sensed he was a man who lived by his own rules, a man who could break the monotony of their ordinary lives. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." The same is true in relationships. A woman doesn't fear that you'll fail to pay the bills. She fears that life with you will feel like watching paint dry. Show her that you live boldly, that you carry danger in your soul, and she will never see you as safe. She'll see you as the spark she cannot extinguish. The harsh truth? Boredom kills intimacy faster than rejection ever could. So stop trying to be safe. Stop trying to be predictable. Live on the edge of life, and women will cling to you, not because you asked, but because they can't bear the thought of losing the fire you bring. 8. The mystery factor. Revealing less. Drawing her closer. One of the biggest mistakes men make is believing that if they pour their whole life story into a woman's lap, she will feel closer to them. But intimacy doesn't grow from oversharing. It grows from curiosity. Mystery is the oxygen of desire, and the moment you strip it away, attraction suffocates. Women don't want to know everything about you up front. They want to discover you piece by piece, like a novel they can't put down, a puzzle they're desperate to solve. Consider Michael, 52. Every time he dated a new woman, he would spill every detail, his career, his childhood trauma, his financial status, all within a few hours. Women would nod politely, then vanish. When he stopped giving it all away, everything changed. He learned to answer questions with hints, to share small pieces that sparked more curiosity, to leave space for silence. Suddenly, women leaned in, eager to know more, texting him later with questions, trying to peel back the layers of his mind. He became the man they couldn't stop thinking about. Because he wasn't an open book, he was a mystery unfolding. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If you reveal every thought too quickly, you rob yourself of depth. But when you control your disclosures, you give women the chance to wonder, to imagine, to paint their own mental picture of who you are. And that imagined picture is often more powerful than anything you could hand them directly. So here's the mindset shift. Stop trying to prove yourself through words. Let her work to uncover you. Mystery is not dishonesty, it's discipline. By holding back, you build an irresistible tension. She won't just want to know you, she'll chase you for the privilege. 9. The scarcity effect. Why less of you makes her want more. Men forget this one simple truth. What is abundant is rarely valued. What is scarce becomes irresistible. When you make yourself constantly available, replying instantly, rearranging your life at her every whim, canceling your plans to see her, you kill her attraction. Desire thrives when she has to earn your time, when she feels that your presence is a privilege, not a default setting. Scarcity creates value, and value creates longing. Take Robert, 55. He thought the key to winning younger women was to shower them with attention, texting morning and night, clearing his weekends, bending over backward to prove he cared. But women grew distant, restless, even irritated. The moment he flipped the script, cutting back on his availability, focusing on his gym sessions, his projects, his friends, something shifted. Those same women who ignored his constant presence began chasing his rare attention. They sent "Where are you?" texts. They tried to book his time. Suddenly, his scarcity made his presence a prize. Seneca once said, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." When you waste your hours flooding a woman with your presence, you're not only draining your own life, you're draining the very fuel of her attraction. By living fully, by guarding your time, you remind her that being with you is not guaranteed, it's earned. And that is exactly what makes her crave you more. Here's the shift. Stop being constantly available. Create scarcity. Show her you have a life so rich, so disciplined, so full of purpose that when she gets your attention, it feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. She won't just want your time, she'll beg for it. 10. The reversal. Making her step into the pursuer's role. Every man is conditioned to chase, to pursue, to constantly seek validation. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Women don't fall for the men who beg for intimacy. They fall for the men who make them fight for it. When you reverse the roles and subtly place her in the position of the pursuer, you awaken a primal instinct in her. She stops passively receiving and starts actively earning. And in that shift, her attraction multiplies tenfold. Consider Daniel, 49. For most of his dating life, he played the predictable part, taking women out, leaning forward, pushing the conversation, hinting at what he wanted. It always ended the same. She lost interest, claiming she wasn't ready. But one night, Daniel changed everything. He leaned back, stayed calm, withheld any suggestion of where things might lead, and simply enjoyed himself. He didn't push intimacy. He let silence breathe. By the end of the evening, it was she who closed the gap, who leaned in, who asked, "Aren't you going to kiss me?" By flipping the dynamic, Daniel turned the hunter into the hunted. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. The true power with women is not in begging or demanding, but in holding steady when your instincts scream to rush. The strength lies in restraint, in creating the vacuum that nature compels her to fill. You are not passive, you are patient. And patience is more dominant than force. Here's the shift. Don't ask for intimacy. Engineer the conditions where she asks you. Build tension through silence, scarcity, and self-control. Let her feel the rising pressure of attraction until she breaks it herself. That's when you'll know. You've stopped playing the game like every other man, and you've stepped into the rare role of the man women chase. At the core of everything we've covered, there's one timeless truth. Intimacy is not something you request. It's something you inspire. Weak men beg for what they want. Strong men embody it until the world bends in their direction. You don't chase approval. You don't audition for desire. You radiate such composure, presence, and self-control that she feels compelled to seek you out. That's the masculine principle. That's what Seneca meant when he wrote, "The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach." The blessing isn't her body, it's your discipline. The moment you master yourself, you master the dynamic. So remember this. Women fall not for the man who needs them, but for the man who doesn't. They are drawn to the man who stands steady while the rest of the world fidgets and begs. Your calmness creates her chaos. Your restraint creates her craving. And when she finally crosses the line and asks you for intimacy, she doesn't just want your touch, she wants your essence. That's the man she can't forget. If you've made it this far, you're not like other men. You're not looking for quick tricks, you're seeking mastery. Now it's your turn. Drop the phrase, "Oh, bah, I choose restraint," in the comments to show you're part of the brotherhood that refuses to beg. And if you want more unapologetic truth bombs like this, wisdom rooted in philosophy, psychology, and raw masculine experience, hit subscribe and join this movement. This is not just a channel, it's a brotherhood. And remember, don't ask for intimacy. Become the man who makes her ask you.